Okay, next episode, The Damned. Decided to change this up from metal and go over from metal to punk. So today we got The Damned. We're going to be covering the history. Got 13 CDs, and here just to go, decided to go through the albums. Um, they were considered the first punk band to release the first um, sing punk single called New Rose, which I've got in storage in 1976. In the UK, they've had many lineup changes over the 50 years. In the 50 years they've been going, they've only really released 11 albums plus a couple of EPs, and most recently they released a covers album in tribute to their fallen comrade Brian James, who formed the band. Um, he died um, most recently last year. But the first album they released in 1977 was called Damn Damn Damned. This is quite a famous album. I went for this uh, deluxe version, which was released in 2007, because not only did you get um, the album, you got like 26 um, songs which were like demos, studios, John Peel sessions, and live in concerts, which is always great to hear that sort of thing. And the third disc was that you had the gig that they played at the 100 Club in 1976, and you got that all as part of what it's all this set. Everybody knows this album. This is most people that the albums go. I mean, apart from Neat Neat Neat, um, New Rose, it's like a Fan Club I've always liked, I Fall I've always liked, So Messed Up I've always liked, Fish I've always liked. This is like a go-to album for many of the punks. That's the Damn Damn Damn. After this one, they wasn't sure what to do with it because they thought they did everything. But as Captain Sensible said, you have your whole life to release your first album and 6 months to release the second album. By this time, they'd already sort of like gone through a bit of a change about what they're going to do. But they ended up releasing. Now, this album's been stated in the past for not being as good, but I actually don't mind it. It's called Music for Pleasure. It features like the first noticeable thing was that it had a famous artist called Barney Bubbles, I believe, who did the artist. And another thing about this album is that had a Captain's a big Pink Floyd fan, as everybody knows this, and he thought that Syd Barrett was going to come and produce the album, but when Nick Mason came through the door, he was like, "Oh, we got the least most famous member of Pink Floyd to produce the album." But um, this album's got its moments. I mean, I've always liked Problem Child, Don't Cry Wolf, um, other stuff. And another thing about this album is that Lou Edmonds was drawn in on second guitar, I do believe. Like they had like two guitars between guitar attacks. Lou Edmonds is now a member of Public Image Limited. But this album wasn't as well. The thing about the music um, press in the 70s is that if they didn't like something, they immediately they trashed it, and that became the view of the album through the decades to come. But over time, it's got a lot better, and they play like selection of songs on it now. The last song on it features a saxophone by a guy called Low Cocktail. Yeah, I mean that's the CD there. I mean they don't they play politics sometimes. They played when they reformed for the very last time. I saw them at the Hammersmith Apollo, and they did like Damn Damn Damned and Music for Pleasure, and they actually had a saxophone player come on to play You Know, which was the last song. That was a good one to hear. So yeah, but Lou Edmonds only made this one album with the band. That's what made him. Captain Sensible, was he still on bass? I believe he was still on bass. But this was so in 1977. I think Brian James left the Damned, and they were sort of like wondering what to do at the time. Captain thought, "Oh, this is the end of my career." It lasted like 2 minutes. Punk's finished. So the famous interview where he said, "I was so distraught that he ran into a cinema with all his punk garb on, and he was just sobbing his heart out that his career was over." And he looked up at the film what was playing, and it was ABBA, and but they had a rethink, and they drafted in Algie Ward on bass. So this lineup was Algie Ward on bass, Rat Scabies on drums, Captain Sensible on guitar, Dave on vocals, of course, and they released Machine Gun Etiquette. This is like a fan favourite now, and I met Rat Scabies once, and he signed it for me. He was quite. He came across as quite bitter on it. I don't know if you can see it. It's not very clear there, but this is like the Damned back on firing on all cylinders. They released the single Love Song, which got to number 20 in the UK charts, and of course this album has Smash It Up, which was on the Old Grey Whistle Test. Other songs I've always liked on it are Anti-Pope, Noise Noise Noise, I Just Can't Be Happy Today, which they always play in live. They always play Love Song, and they always really end the set with Smash It Up normally. And this album, there was part called Plan 9 Channel 7, and I Just Can't Be Happy Today signal where they were going to after this, seemingly was going to be the end of the punk aspect of the Damned. But I've seen this album performed live in its entirety at Blackheath Concord 2019. It came across as strong in 2019. I mean, it wasn't 1979 or anything, but I wasn't alive then. But Melody Lee, that's another one. And the song Machine Gun Etiquette actually has the glitter beat. They called it Second Time Around live because Captain Sensible is a big fan of the Glitter Band and Gary Glitter. Not that he mentioned it now, but which he says the Glitter Band is still brilliant now, but this is Machine Gun Etiquette. The next album sees the Damned. Captain Sensible says, we invented punk, and we also invented goth, and this is the Black Album, which was released in 1980, is a massive departure in sound um, for them. And this album starts off with Wait for the Blackout, which seems to be played at every single damn concert. I've been to 25, seen them to live 25 times, and they've pretty much played it every time I've seen them. But it has, it's just got stuff like Silly Kids Games and Lively Arts, which are sort of like rocky numbers, and Drinking About My Baby. And then it goes into songs that you can tell who wrote what when it goes into Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That's another one which they always play live. They got the singles, The History of the World, Part 1, Part 2. And then it goes into like a pretty much prog style of goth towards the end, where it's 13th Floor Vendetta, Therapy, and there's a song which they have called Curtain Call, and it goes on for like over 20 minutes. And they play it in full only on special occasions, and most notably when they played it on full in their 40th anniversary at the Royal Albert Hall, and they played it in full at the show of 1,000 Vampires in 2019. And Dave Vanian, the singer, got his daughter Emily to play violin on the violin part, which was quite a lesson time. But another one, Hit or Miss, is another one on this one, and Twisted Nerve, which I've already mentioned. And yeah, this is the Black Album, 10 years before Metallica. Next up, this is my favourite band album, released in 1982. Strawberries. The idea of this album was that it was, Captain said it was aimed at journalists at the time. I forgot to mention the lineup of the Black Album. It was Rat Scabies on drums, Dave Vanian on vocals, Captain Sensible on guitar, and Paul Gray on bass. And this was the lineup that remained for this album. This is my favourite album, and it features my favourite damn songs actually. It's like Ignite, Generals, that's one of my top 10 damn songs. Stranger on the Town, that's one of my top 10 damn songs. Dozen Girls, one of my top 10 damn songs. Pleasure on the Plains, one of my top 10, one of my top 5 damn songs. Life Goes On, which they played at their 50th anniversary show at Wembley Arena, just gone. And Captain Sensible said, I know you want to hear Happy Talk, but here's Life Goes On instead. But I've seen them play various songs of this over the years. They played The Dog at for 1,000 Vampire shows, and they played Gun Fury of Brixton Riots over Gun. Lineup change, Under the Floor Again. They play that one, that's a really good one. Lineup change after this one is that Captain Sensible leaves the band to foresee a glorious solo career, which whenever you mentioned him, you always mentioned Happy Talk, and that went to number 1 in the charts. It was number 1 for 2 weeks. Some of you must have liked it. And he always said, no, why are you booing? But yeah, this is my favourite damned album. After this album, so Captain leaves the band, so the band are facing potential breakup here. For this album, but they come back in 1985 with Phantasmagoria. This is like, what would you call this? This is like a gothic, but it's like a gothic pop sort of album. It's not like the Black Album. The Black Album was like a gothic unmainstream album. this was like a gothic album, and this again had another lineup change of it, and the people that were in the lineup change was I believe, yeah, it says so who was brought in were Roman Jug, who was a keyboard player, and he moved to guitar, and Brian Merrick, um, who was a Welshman, he's since passed away. Um, he was on, on on bass, and I think this lineup released. I think they only released the 2 albums, but this is by far the strongest album. I mean, I do like the next album, anything, but it starts off with Street of Dreams, which they played the opening song from the new album, from the 50th anniversary at the Wembley Arena just had gone. They played Is It a Dream as well, but my favourite song has always been The Eighth Day, and I've never seen them play that one. But I've seen them play Sanctum Sanctorium, and I've seen them play Grimly Fiendish. I've never seen them play Edward the Bear. I've seen them play Shadow of Love, but this is the 87 album. This is one of my favourites as well. I mean, I don't have these CDs in storage because ever since before they've been on constant play, so I want them where I can get them with like a Hugh Cornwell and the Manics and things like that. So, 2 years later, in 1987, they released Anything. 1987? Is it 1987? I do believe it's 1987. And there was a cover version from Arthur Lee, Alone Again All. But a song I like from this is I like Indulge Decorum, Gigolo, The Girl Goes Down, and the title track, Tightrope Walk, and the title track. This album is very 80s of its time. It's a gothic. The drums on this album are very sort of like up, and the vocals are very sort of up. It's very mid-80s sounding album. I mean, Alone Again All was the Arthur Lee Brown cover, was it? But compared to Phantasmagoria, I mean, I do like this. You can put this on in the kitchen downstairs, and the lighter songs that your parents would like, sort of thing. But after this album, the Damned took a sabbatical, until about the mid-90s, I do believe. They had the final Damnation and concert, which that's a live album, and that was the original lineup. And then in 1995 they came back with Not of This Earth, but I have it as I'm Alright, Jack and the Beanstalk. I do believe they changed members yet again, as this band ever do. And I believe they got in Chris Dollymore on either bass or guitar. Obviously Dave Vanian and Rat Scabies. Let's see. I should know. Yes, Chris McDollymore guitars, and a bass player was a person called Moose. Captain Sensible was still out of the band by this time, but they had a Hammond organ player called James Taylor. They had a rhythm guitar backing vocals, and even Glenn Matlock played bass on this album. Over the years, I've gone to like this album a lot more than I did. I mean, I think it's fair to say this is the least popular album of it. But I mean, it's like I Need a Life, Testify, Shut It, Tailspin, Not of This so some sort of thing. But Never Believe, Heaven Can Take Your Lies, Shadows to Fall, No More Tears, and the ending Porky Golf, which is a good one. And you got some other stuff. But the most people know I Need a Life, Tailspin, and Shut It, and the title track. But it's not as bad when it came out. I don't play it often, but when I do put it on, and I do like it now. But the band took another hiatus, and they came back with yet another complete lineup change in the year 2000. Captain's now back in the band on guitar. You've got Andrew Pinching on drums, known as Pinch. You've got Monty Oxymore on keyboards. You've got Patricia Morrison from the Sisters of Mercy and Dave Vanian's wife on bass, and they released this on Nitro Records, who was run by the Offspring guy, Noodles, who was a fan of the band. And Captain obviously said to him upon signing, "I gave you a career." But of the ones I've always loved, Thrill Kill, Absinthe is good. Would You Be So Hot If You Weren't Dead? Neverland is excellent. W I like. Beauty of the closer, Beauty of the Beast. They played some of these on their 40th anniversary, but the only ones that really get played live is Democracy. I mean, last time I've seen Absinthe was Land of the Thousand Vampires in 2019. Amen. Neverland is always good to hear, but Democracy, it's all the band come back with some notoriety. 2008, they released another gap. They released So Who's Paranoid. This is another decent album. I mean, it starts off with The Nations for Heroes. Things I've always liked is Dr. Wolkenstein, Perfect Sunday, Nature's Dark Passion, and the album closing track, Dark Asteroid, is dedicated to Syd Barrett, I think, of Pink Floyd, and it goes on for quite a long time. But this is still pretty much the same lineup, but Patricia Morrison is gone from bass, and Stu West replaces him on bass. But this came out in 2008, and yeah, I do believe it's a good album if you haven't heard it. And then that was it until 2018. There was a late resurgence of the Damned, and they released an album through Pledge. It's okay. It's not brilliant, but they released it. I went to a signing session, and I got it signed. They released Any Evil Spirits. Standing on the Edge of the Tomorrow was the single from it. They released Look Left from it. We're So Nice has always been my favourite. And The Daily Liar and I Don't Care, Shadow Evocation. I mean, it's very okay. It's produced by Tony Visconti, because that's who they know. And then they're coming towards the end now. They released an EP called the Rockfield Files, so they went back to Rockfield Studios in Wales, and it was like Keep 'Em Alive, Manipulator, The Spider and the Fly, and the one they played live, Black is the Night. And another lineup change yet again for the latest Damned album, Darkadelic. A drummer called Will Taylor was brought in for drums, ever keeping up with the modern day, there's a song called "Follow Me" about people wanting to be famous on social media. Not me. But their single was called "The Invisible Man." Bad Weather Girl, Captain sings that one. You're Gonna Realise, Beware of a Clown, that was a single. Western Promise, Wake the Dead, Motorcycle Man, that's another good one. Leader of the Gang, that's about Gary Glitter. And Roderick, which closes it. Again, I went to a signing session at Rough Trade because you have to get all lined up, and I got Will Taylor's autograph there, Monty Oxymore on there, Captain Sensible there, and Dave Vanian there. After that, original member Ryan James passed away. So that was the guy that invented the band, and they came back this year with Not Like Anybody Else. It's just like a covers album which they made, and it's got The Ghost in My House, and they did The Summer in the City, which the Stranglers, the cover version of that, and they did Give Me Danger, and they did See Emily Play, and it's like a decent album. And so that's it. That is the Damned, a band that have had lots of ups and downs. But they've always been a constant in my life. Always enjoyed their live gigs. Always enjoyed Captain's banter with the crowd. Live gigs are getting a bit pricey now, like everything is. But as Captain says, it's part of my pension fund. So like he thinks Coldplay has taken all this money from him. I suppose they have. So that is the Damned. My favourite 3 albums, I would say, are Strawberries, the Black Album, and Phantasmagoria. So yeah, I thought I'd cover something different other than Metallica and metal. But yeah, that's the update. Okay, well, see you for the next one, which will probably be Stranglers again. I realise I'm a few albums away from the Megadeth. I think I need 5. I think. I'm giving the game away a little bit there, aren't I? But yeah, I've got a few. So that was the Damned. Okay, yeah.